For today's video, I want to talk about some subtle ways to build your brand and really that like brand affinity. Some things that I think are almost never really talked about, and just some subtle things that maybe aren't as important as your like social content and video content and things of that nature that are really driving a lot of brand success right now. But just some things that I see a lot of other big brands and smaller brands do well, and that can have very lasting impacts and honestly lead to a lot more sales in the future, increase your lifetime value of your customers, and overall just drive more success. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, cool. So the first thing I want to talk about is using color to associate with your brand. So the easy example I can give you is Tiffany Blue. I'm sure everyone's probably seen this before. Everyone's familiar with Tiffany and Co. and this sort of shade of blue that they've kind of like taken over. And yeah, anytime you see this color blue, you're pretty much thinking of the brand Tiffany. And so associating your brand with that color is a very, very hard thing to do. That takes a long time to put that into your customers and just people in general's, the back of their mind subconsciously. But yeah, it's lasting impact. And anytime someone sees a shade of blue, they're probably thinking Tiffany, even if they don't like realize it. Another couple of good examples is Hermes and Orange. They've kind of adopted this color, and they just use this for all their products, packaging, and then they further do it just within like their brand design and colors. Again, just getting people to think about your brand subconsciously as much as possible. And so if you're able to associate your brand with a color, like that is just a massive thing. And you may be thinking like, how does this apply to me? Like I'm not a luxury brand. Like these brands have been around for decades or centuries and have all this type of money to put into this. Well, I've got a couple examples that are actually like much smaller brands that you can kind of aspire to that are on their way to adapting a color and making some serious strides. One other brand that's pretty big, obviously, is Bottega Veneta and their shade of green. Obviously, Bottega is a much newer designer, and yeah, this shade of green they've kind of adopted with a lot of their products. So it really stems to a lot of like what the product color they use, how often they're using a specific color with their products, using it in their branding for everything from like pop-ups to any type of like physical mail that might be used or digital ads or things of that nature. And then first example I have is Systemic. If you're not familiar with them, they're based out of, I think, France, but somewhere in Europe. And so they've kind of adopted this color, the shade of yellow right here. So that's just one product that has it. But if you scroll through, you might see a bit of this yellow and their highlights. It just continuously pops up. Their logos, they changed it to be a bit more of like a dark gold. So they're kind of rebranding, so they might go more towards this dark gold going into the future. But yeah, you see this specific shade of yellow, and then there's brand like this like sun kind of thing has been their logo for a while before that like dark gold one. But if you pay attention, it just pops up everywhere from just these little details and these hits on this t-shirt and this long sleeve to this big I forget what you call it, but you put it on over the walls. This poster. They've been using this shade of yellow for a while. Like I said before, this was like their logo for the longest time up until recently. And you just continue to see it pop up everywhere from like this post-it note to this bell to again the sun. Even the most popular product, the Teddy Fleece, they did it in the shade of yellow. So a bit more subtle, not like on everything, but if you pay closer attention, you'll see this specific shade of yellow even from like their earliest posts pops up everywhere, and something they've tried to incorporate into their brand heavy. We also have Hidden New York and their kind of actual like clothing line. And so they've adopted this shade of green. They use this a lot and across all their products. If you pay attention again, from their not just like the logo itself, but also all the details. We have this knight embroidery, the chest set, even like this chair, this right here, this graphic. Right here we have the little woven label. Again, just more. You see this green pop up everywhere from their site to their Instagram to all of their products. And it might just seem like kind of coincidental, but if you pay attention to across like all the products that they've been doing for a while, you'll notice that even right here that has a picture of their clothing label tag, and it has that same like green color. Again, right here we have this hidden collab with And Wander, this green color on their carabiners. Yeah, just pops up everywhere and is clearly very intentional. And the other couple examples I had real quick was Western Hydrodynamic Research in this shade of blue. Of course, they adopted it into their profile picture, but then you see it across a lot of their products if you pay attention, and even their media. And Fugazi, same thing with this like shade of red, this bright red. You see it across a lot of their products. as well as just a lot of their ads. It pops up time and time again. I mean, you might see it from like this, their actual flagship store design, to this ad for the flagship store, to the soles on their shoes, to even this ad right here, this at Fugazi pin. Again, using this color on this pop-up store. If you pay close attention, you'll see it time and time and time again. Even this ad, if you haven't seen it before, they use it on their like fake Times Square ad thing. Really cool. Use color into your brand if you can. Just think about it. Again, all these things I'm telling you are going to be talking about today. It's not like you have to do any of them or all of them, but just be thinking about how you can incorporate them into your brand, and just another thing to think about. So the next one I want to talk about is interesting collection / product names. So what am I talking about? So Basket Case Gallery is my favorite one for collection names. If you go and look at their collections, they do like pretty much once a month or like every other month. They have ones like this one called Mnemonics. They have one called, if I can scroll down, Hive Mentality. I'm going to scroll down further. I'm into last year right now. Let's see. What do we have? Homecoming. So yeah, they just have all these like collection names that aren't just like Collection 1 or like the boot collection. Like, I don't know. But you see like a lot of brands that just do like a very like basic and like on the nose collection name that specifically describes all their products, whereas they're taking more of like a concept or idea. And honestly, I have no idea how they ideate on their process for naming these collections. But yeah, they have like some really cool like collection names, and it's just a really subtle thing that people like think and care about, and are always like, oh, what's the next collection gonna be named? Like, I gotta know, like, how do they come up with these names that are so like outlandish and wild? Like, they have one called I think the Ecstasy of Saint Teresa, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, if you go through all of their Instagram history, you can see all of their collections. They have Residency right here, and then for each collection as well, they do like a special like graphic and often like a short form video. So I've talked about some of that stuff in previous videos, but yeah. Another one for product like names, we have Cody Phillips. These are called the Rip Van Cody Browns. Like, that's describing these pants. So again, it's very like unorthodox thing to describe your product or product collection. We have Fugazi, who named their card holders the Debt Collectors. Pretty funny. It's really on brand for them and works well. I think they even had the BCGs, which I think are actually stand for the birth control glasses. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're named for. So again, just getting at things that might spark a bit of humor or just feel like, unorthodox, like make it authentic, make it feel different than everyone else, right? And then product descriptions, I believe Beck in the Cody Phillips one, yeah, he always does these like really like, yeah, just him kind of product descriptions that are very like all caps, the most utterly insane pants you can find on the market right now, I promise. Like, just talking about and hyping up his product. But then if you've never gone to the Palace site, I would highly recommend going on the Palace site, Palace Skateboards, shop.usa.palaceskateboards.com. Go look at Palace and their product descriptions. You can click on literally any product and they'll have some unfiltered, super funny like product description. I think someone's probably full-time job to do all of these. For literally every single SKU, they have a different product description that's almost always trying to be funny, or like just talk bad about someone or something else, or telling you like how you might feel when you wear this specific thing, or just talk about the most random thing like you could possibly think of, like talking about something that has nothing to do with the product. But again, I think this is really smart from them. They've been doing this since like forever, since I can remember, since I've been following them. But yeah, Palace and their product descriptions are unmatched, something to think about for sure. Okay, next one I want to talk about is transforming your brand motifs outside of clothes. So oftentimes this is done with furniture. So I have two really solid examples. The first one is Bad Sun and their sort of IO logo. If you pay attention, they've used this a handful of times. I think on this shirt, yeah. So I believe it's just like input output is their kind of idea behind it. But yeah, they went out and actually turned that like logo / idea into this bubble lounge chair and liquid bookshelf speakers. So yeah, I just think it's cool. It's obviously like performs well on social for like those purposes. Also just like builds brand, and everyone's like, yo, I want this, like how much, like, and then they could go on to decide to make small quantities and bring in some more, make some cash off that, and then also like further expand upon this as a product category. I like it too because it's just like cool, it's like cool to see You want to see brands doing like different things. Again, it's all about like standing out, but also like being authentic to you and your brand, and there's a lot to think about there. But yeah, be thinking about how you can like transform like your logo or like something you repeat often in your clothes into something like a random furniture piece or something along those lines. Maybe it's like a mirror. I don't know. Another example we have is House of Errors and their All-Seeing Eye. So the All-Seeing Eye you can see in their brand profile picture. They use it on hoodies and use a small graphics on different things. They use it on like everywhere. There's like puffers, knits, t-shirts, hoodies. Like they use it everywhere. So it makes sense for them to actually go out and turn that into a chair, because why not? The All-Seeing Lounge chair. And I think he did a collaboration with like a really good like furniture designer chick. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Again, just like performs well in social, clearly. So like that's always a good thing. And yeah, nice to have like the studio. It's cool, and probably obviously these things cost like not, they're not cheap, but for brands that are at this size, it's a really smart idea in terms of like the ROI of like the social aspect and like what it does. If it could be something you have like at like a pop up and people want to take pictures with it, like you just gotta be thinking about the longevity of these types of things and how you can apply them. And then the last thing I want to talk about is unorthodox way of showcasing your products, or really just like showcasing your products outside of the typical like flat lays that we see on top of the ground and white backgrounds, really. So going back to Bad Sun, we have them in this really sharp black background contrast. They do for all their product shots. Yeah, again, the products themselves look really good. This is a high level photography. And then they'll do some model shots. They'll do pictures of different pictures of the product without like the person in it. So yeah, again, really high production, and I use this really sharp like black background, but it works like surprisingly much better than I expected. I want to say I even tried using a black background before just to see how it looks, and it didn't turn out well. So yeah, they mastered this, and it looks really dope. And just one subtle thing that now anytime you see like this black background, like you immediately think like, oh yeah, it's just another Bad Sun post. Like it's just something you come to expect. And they used to do white backgrounds up until like, I don't know, probably whenever this is, like 2 years ago. So just again, really subtle thing that kind of adds up over time. And then the last one I'll leave you guys with is Pythia. They don't do it anymore, but for a lot of their old products, they used to showcase them with this sort of like chain down the middle. I think it's just like a chain on like a hanger. They used to do this for all their product, and again, just a really like subtle detail, but like no one else is doing this or has done it exactly like this, right? So it's about finding like a really small thing that you can use to change that everyone can kind of come to see with your product layouts, and can come to see time and time again via social. It just helps that kind of like subconscious part of the consumer. Again, it's not even something that anyone thinks about or is probably ever going to talk about, but that's why I wanted to bring it up, because these things matter and they help build brand over time and build brand affinity, and yeah, just gonna help you on the long run. So that's all I had for today. Would love to know if you guys want to see a part 2 to this. Would be down for that. Again, really appreciate all the support recently. I want to get this video out real quick as it's Christmas Eve and I just woke up, and yeah, I want to get this out before the day gets rolling because it's a very busy day. Hope everyone's doing well. Happy holidays. And yeah, drop a like, comment, subscribe, and until then, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.